my teacher voice, so if you think I'm shouting, I am. Welcome, everyone. I'm Mary Jo Langhorn. I'm a part of the Library Committee, and I think all of the Library Committee, except one, are here today. Mary Page, Elizabeth Brown, Judy Bean, Ann Farland, and Kate Hancock, unfortunately, cannot be here because her husband is quite ill, as some of you may know. You know, I was a librarian for a long time, and one of the joys of that job is that you always get to be the first person who opens up boxes of brand new books, and often gets to read them first as well. And of course here, it's been a little different. We've been opening up boxes of old used books, but in many cases those were treasures for us as well, and we thank all of you who have contributed to our library here. It was a special treat for me a couple of weeks ago when Larry Marsh put this small volume into my hands, because not only is it a brand new book, but it is part of our small collection now of books by Oak Knoll East authors. And we would invite you again, I know there are Oak Knoll East authors in this crowd, to send those along, but we hadn't had a contribution of poetry from an Oak Knoll East author, and I was kind of thrilled to see this lovely small volume, Our Neck of the Woods. So, without further word, I'd like to introduce our poet in residence, Larry Marsh.
Thank you, Mary Jo. I would like to also take this time to thank all of you who make this possible, and others, friends and family, who have made suggestions over the years of my poetry, encouraging me, making suggestions, and a couple of very special ones, my daughter Anna, who provided us with woodcuts that accompany this little book, and were inspired by some of the poems I wrote there. Also, Ann Zergel, my coach in residence. She has done a lot to help encourage me. And Shirley Glupka, my sister-in-law, who pushed me into converting my poems from this kind of collection to this kind of collection. Is this coming through all right?
Yeah.
So I'll start with a poem called Street. Through its length, our road keeps changing names, which disconcerts our visitors, as though we were uncertain where we lived. Since it comes along the river, it was called by some the River Road, but that's before the signs were made with numbers to be clear. Former names remain, and at either end, it can still be called the Solon Road, if taken from the east, or East Mahaffey Bridge Road from the west. But in between where we live, 180th Street Northeast, so impersonal and grand, you'd think we live in tree-lined neighborhoods, some great sprawling Midwest city. But the road along our stretch is dusty, unpaved, crossing woods and farmlands, neighbors far apart. Trees there are, straight and tall. Shadows of their trunks lie like bars across our path and make me wonder, if I knew some secret code, might I find the road's real name explained there? But I travel gravel curves too fast, and the shadows flutter as I pass. maybe they're saying in their own stiff way to slow down. Go slow road, I'll call it. Maybe we'll, if you would say the pause for the final. That way we can let walk. Walking in the dark in my coverall cocoon, crossing frozen fields to the river where I stop. Listen to my heart warmed there and look up to the dipper, its handle reaching down. So saved from early sleep, I give thanks for winter's night, its reminders and spare clarity. Metamorphosis postponed, I leave my wings encased and wend my larva way back home. So our neck of the woods, as you probably have guessed, is near the Cedar River in the northeast part of Johnson County, where the Cedar River crosses into Cedar County from Johnson County. About 7 miles east of Solon and 10 miles north of West Branch. A lot of my poems come from my experience listening and watching and working on 24 acres of wooded trees there in the hills. So this poem is called Thieves. Midwest rivers, thick and slow, rub against the tender land, lifting silt with their lazy tongues, scooping wide meanders. Fertile but too wet to farm, their floodplains stand in sloughs and tangles, ranks of spiny vines and nettles, coves to hide the deer marauding cornfields either side. I'm walled out, except in winter, when muddy channels freeze and weave broad streets beneath the canopy. Then I steal on silent skis, deep in that den of thieves. We had numerous stray cats and dogs left by people near our place, and this one is this is a poem I wrote for our cat Tom. Neutered head first down a barn boot, suffering indignities of being washed and scolded by his mom, even at his age. Our old cat Tom had paid his dues. Herded by our shepherd dog as though he were a lamb, held for days beneath the bridge, in traps there set for coon, and limping back to lie recovering while watching chickens scratch, when all the time he knew that he was meant to be a hearth cat, to grace a fireplace or keep a wood stove warm. He daily scanned his chances, sitting tall and dignified, in his apricot tuxedo, white bib tucked up, facing us from underneath the crab, atop the compost, or attractively framed in the little barn door. His loud purr was offered as proof that he forgave us. And he soft-bellied up at the least attention, just to demonstrate how lovely it would be to have him in my house. But I was unrelenting, and he aged as best he could, living out his days a barn cat. He finally lost his lower teeth, and with that some vigor, for when Winter asked the toughest question Tom could not remember. I wait now for the thaw and Tom to limber, so I can bury him beneath his favorite tree. And here, beside my own warm stove, I'm pondering my questions, till some young and energetic season finds me out, and then I'll join him, there at the coldest hearth, where only ashes linger. So in these days, I was approaching retirement when I wrote most of these. And mortality was weighing a little heavier on me than it had in the past. And so some of these poems reflect that. This one is called The Caretaker. For years, I only heard him gnawing in the night, back rooms, under the stairs mostly, often in the fall. Lately, though, he comes to meals, visits with me casually, as if he'd been invited, takes a place beside me on the couch when I can't sleep. I see there's no dispatching him. He's here to stay, and appears to be making plans to turn into my host, drawing curtains, putting out towels, turning off the lights. This poem, called Cardinal, is one you may have seen. It has been published in one of the, was it the Connector? It's called Cardinal. Leo nightly stalks the sky and leaves his tawny image, worn out flanks of hillsides, matted patches in the ditches. We're in March of Midwest's year, when beauty takes its deepest rest and leaves us longing, tense, senses starved and raw from winter's grind. When Cardinal calls, the gaudy herald, scaling through the morning dun, cheer, 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 pulsing red from dormant stem, flashing, stabbing, lancing drabness, this tiny admonition from despair lifts his song, a tonic for my startled heart. So on this acreage, we planted gardens, orchards, raised sheep and goats. This particular poem is about a cherry tree, a Montmorency, a sour cherry we use for making pies, Cherry gift. First of homestead trees we planted, Montmorency had for seasons now been barren. What few cherries it might set were stripped by birds to stems and pits before they even ripened. Aged and failing, trunk gobbed with sticky amber ooze, it was no surprise to find one April storm had knocked it down. I took my freshly sharpened saw and went to clear the orchard, take a final harvest, stove wood, though it too looked meager, but noticed then a bud swell on the stems, and a hinge of bark bridged roots to limbs. I dithered by the broken mess, my urge for neatness against the chance of flowers, then finally put the saw away to leave the tree its season. It blossomed prostrate, full and white, as if to empty all its promised seed at once, and cherries followed, blood red, heavy on the fallen heap. And why, I asked? This year, the birds left us the fruit. I don't know why. It was beautiful. Speak. There are a few words in this poem you might need to not be familiar with. One is hyphenated roof talk. Roofs do talk. They're metal and they're suddenly heated up. Another word is a batten. They're a thin strip of wood that are used to cover spaces between siding, wide boards. Shrink and swell with moisture, and they leave a space between them, and to cover the space there they use a batten. Also, I am very appreciative. I love the sound that starlings make. They're greatest imitators of birds. You wouldn't believe it, how well they imitate. They're far better at imitating than catbirds and brown thrashers, other imitators we have here. Well, and those three words. This poem's called Speak. Speak to me. These trees, speak to me. These limestone cliffs with frozen fossils. A barn that groans in heavy wind. A batten's buzz in northeast gusts. Metal roof talk started by a sudden burst of sun. Pigeons enthusiastic woo. Starlings that haunt dark corners and speak to me in songs of killdeer, bluebirds, spring and winter dusk. The arrowhead found between here and the river speaks to me of final flights, wayward hopes, simple beauty, other ages, glacial boulders, ancient starlight, dogs that howl, all speak to me. And this is, you'll recognize, I think, some of these references here. Called Weathering. Her heart was coastal from the granite edge of Maine. She thought in rhythms of the sea, even settled now and happy. Pressed and patched by marriage to a hillside in Iowa, she kept a little time chart on her desk. To show me care, her Midwest husband built her a weather station. Local butternut and 4 brass instruments with dials behind their glass to measure pressure, temperature, humidity, and at the bottom, time. It was mounted on the wall between the living room and kitchen, so she could tap the gauges as she passed, note the trends, read the signs, sometimes unthinking she even tapped the time. Here's one Mary wanted me to read, I assume. She liked it anyway. Teapot. Some like a whistling teapot that signals when it's ready. But to me, the call's too shrill. It puts my teeth on edge and cuts the calm of my anticipation. The soothing cup of tea must first reduce the clamor of its source. Even the pot sighs a coo of thanks when I relieve its heat. Here's one people seem to like, called All There. Then there you were, a girl, kind of a mess, but unfurled on the table, apparently all there. Practiced hands tied you off, snipped and suctioned, wiped you dry and wrapped you as I marveled, dazed, and counted 5 fingers, each hand, each foot, 5 tiny toes, a father's self-appointed job. Not a lot to do, all suited up, so I kept counting. Of course, all there came to mean much more. And less days, I've stopped counting all the ways that you amazed me, rolling over, smiling, walking. Where's Hannah? There she is. As you grew from girl to woman, gaining confidence and wisdom, you have taught me, teach me still, how much all there can be. She's the one that did these woodcuts, our oldest daughter. This is called Thrush. Unlike the gull, which bends the sea sound purposely and rides the thunder cry defiant, the hermit thrush seeks spruce woods, quiet, thick, and semi-dark to work its song, as if aware the hush, high canopy, and mute trunks assure a tone, intensify the bright liquidity of trilling like a shaft of sunlight breaking through the gloom, haunting as the stillness sweetens. How's the time going? Are we close? This is the last one then, called Sparkle. New snow down clears the record, and I begin afresh toward the rising gibbous moon to build a path as sparkles and the snowflakes lead me out. My shadow drags behind, sliding in and out of footprints till I stop to judge the cost. For all choices have their price, then find I'm lost. Sparkles vanish, replaced by tiny diamonds, stars embedded in a heaven there below, which deepens as I watch, to a match of that above, as though I stood upon the surface of a mirror or a pond. To recover my perspective and prevent a fall, I turn, and turning back, find rescue in my shadow. Tangible reminder of my place between the heavens. Balance found and path revealed. We slip along together in and out of footprints, not noticing the stars that track us home.
Larry would be happy to entertain any questions. And while he's doing that, we'll get some refreshments ready and serve over here at the bar quite shortly. And remember, his book is for sale at the back table. Callie is taking care of that for $10, and I believe he will autograph them.
I will, and they're also available Amazon, so, or we run out of books.
We out, all right.
But they're, yes, go ahead, Pete.
These are all such rural poems.
Rural, yes.
Yes, and have you always lived in rural areas? I know you've lived outside of the country, but in Mexico, was that rural? I assume it was rural as well.
Both places, and we lived in Mexico City for a while.
Oh, my.
So that was as urban as it made, because most of my life was lived in the country. And that was my desire to raise our children in the company of trees.
Well, it's very powerful, and, yeah, thank you.
Sure.
I'm curious how old Anna was when you wrote the poem about her.
Oh, she might have been 2. Shortly after she was born. 53 years old.
Well, so have you always written poetry, Larry?
Not always, no.
What age did you
Kind of came to me about the time I was to retire, year 2000. I retired. So, 10 or 15 years either side of retirement, it came to me. And usually, my life was a bit stressed in those days. And, for one reason or another, I wasn't sleeping well. So I would get up at night and between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning. Right, and just sit by the fire. We were heating with wood in those days, and we had to recharge the stoves. And we were lambing sometimes in the winter. We would need to go check the barn and see the ewes were all away. So it got me up at night. It was easy. Good time to write. Yes.
Are you still writing?
Very little, yes, a few poems. And I hope to write more, actually, but so far I'm still settling my brain and soul into living I don't know.
We get that.
Yes,
Will there be another volume? I know you culled a lot of poems too.
I don't have any real plans for it. I'm sure happy to have this one.
Me too.
Yes,
Today is your two-year anniversary of moving into Oakville.
very good.
How did you know that?
I told her on my calendar.
It's wonderful.
It's a nice building.
Another very important anniversary.
So, did your family write poetry? I'm just curious where this all came from. Did you have that model from a very early age?
No,
Had you been drawn drawn to poetry reading?
Oh, I actually went to one of the workshops they had, you know, the
At the U?
Iowa River,
No.
no, the Iowa Writers Workshop.
Yeah.
They had, what, 3-week or 6-week workshops.
Oh, during the winter, or I
During
mean
the
the
summer
summer.
workshops,
Right.
yeah, I went to one, so that was a good opportunity to listen and read and understand poetry, not so much to write. But
And
in
you
those days, I was writing some,
Okay.
yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about how you and Ann Zirkle worked together and how the role that she played in putting this together?
I don't know, Ann, should I confess?
I assume Ann is there.
She is just an enthusiastic and wonderful someone to sound my poems. She listens in ways I had never realized she appreciated what I did.
And she writes poetry, right?
She wrote
Yes.
poetry and we were working together for a while. Then I got the book finished. I don't know, we need to get back together. Been a while. Yes.
I'm curious if Lucy got a poem too, if she was jealous.
If Lucy got a poem, we asked her if she was resentful that she had not been written about in the same manner, and she said, no. She herself is a good poet too. She's written songs, verse.
Actually, she said, there are many times when it's as if you were a poet.
Oh. Such a good girl.
Many times when?
As if,
I didn't get it either, Callie. What kind of poem?
She said that there are many times when she has felt as if you had written a poem to her.
Oh, as if I had written a poem for Brittany.
Well,
You
she
didn't
was-
ever tell me that.
she was so much a part of your lives.
Yes, oh,
and
definitely.
this property, so I can see why she would feel that.
Sure, sure. Well, that was our worry. It was Callie worry especially. But we questioned her about that. She said, oh, no. I was a new father, and for some reason, being a new father just blew me away. Once I had a baby, it wasn't such a big deal. Sorry, Callie.
All second children understand that.
By the time the later ones come on,
Oh,
yeah,
forget it. No photos or anything.
Larry, thank you so much.
Oh,